Hello friends, welcome to our channel Knowledge Amplifier. So today in this particular video I am going to discuss how we can interact with Databricks using native Python. So for example, we are having some tables, we want to query the data from some external system, or maybe we want to create some new table and insert few rows in it, like that kind of operation which are mostly lightweight in nature. If we want to execute maybe from within Databricks notebook or from some external system, then how to do it using Python, on that we are going to explore today in this video. Okay, because generally if you consider a create table command or inserting some data in it or querying some existing table, whatever activities we generally try to do in Databricks platform, the first things what comes in our mind, that is spark.sql, and then put the query inside it, right? But not all the problems are big data workloads. If your table is having huge volume of data, then maybe it is fine to use Spark SQL. But suppose you want to just execute some create table command, which will obviously not going to return huge volume of data. It is a very lightweight operation, right? Or maybe you want to get count of rows available in a table, or maybe your table itself is not having very huge volume. You can maybe execute select star, still it is a lightweight operation. In those kind of cases, instead of using spark.sql, we can opt for native Python based operation. Like for example, if you consider Snowflake world, then for all problems we generally don't use Snowpark or Spark Snowflake connection, but rather we are having Snowflake's own Python connector. Using that we create cursor and then either fetch one or fetch all, these kind of methods we basically use to execute some query and get the result set, right? So similar kind of activity you can perform in Databricks platform. So how to do that? Let us try to explore quickly. So here I am having already one SQL warehouse running, Pro warehouse. If you check here, it is having cluster size 2x small and auto stop after 45 minutes of inactivity. I have not enabled auto scaling, so minimum and maximum cluster count is 1 only. Okay, and this is having spot instance policy enabled, that is cost optimized in nature. So that way in the backend, whatever worker nodes will be running, that will be of spot category to have some cost reduction, right? Now to connect with this particular SQL warehouse and Python, you will be getting connection details tab, and there Databricks has basically given the information about connecting with various programming language or different data visualization tools like Tableau, Power BI, etc. So we want to connect with Python, so let's click on that, and here they have mentioned how to have the connection set up between our this Databricks cluster and Python. Maybe that Python code you are running from Databricks or outside. Okay, so first step should be pip install Databricks SQL Connector. This connector we have to install. So maybe let's consider this time our execution platform is outside, that is external system, and that is Google Colab. So first step what we need to do, we need to install this specific connector, Databricks SQL Connector. Okay, and then here it has given you the sample code how to interact with this Databricks cluster. So if you see, first we are importing from Databricks import SQL to set up the connector, and ways also we are importing, maybe for example this access tokens etc. we should be putting in environmental variable for safer side instead of hard coding in the code, but that one we are not going to do here in this specific POC, because our main objective is understanding how to work with Databricks SQL Connector. The security aspect can be easily taken care of. You can maybe put the access token in some secret key vault, for example AWS secret manager etc., and work with it. Okay, so access token we need to provide for authentication purpose. So I will quickly generate access token from this UI, and this is the one, that one here I have given server host name. So if you see here, basically it is providing the host name for our Databricks account, that is this one, right? That one only available. And SQL warehouse detail, if you see B4 D7 D900 A598 A82, this is basically cluster ID for this Pro warehouse. If you observe in the URL, that same unique identifier is available, that is BA4D7D900A598A82. If I copy and then here if I search, you will able to see it is same, right? So that way I hope you are getting this, that server hostname we need to provide from URL, and then here we need to provide the unique identifier for our Databricks warehouse cluster, and then access token, as simple as that. And then suppose we are executing select star from range 10, a simple SQL query. So let me quickly go to the queries tab, or sorry, SQL editor tab, and then let me try to execute this query. So select star from range 10, and here you can see it is basically returning ID from 0 to 9, right, which is obviously expected, and the column name is ID. Okay, cool. Now suppose I want to execute that from external Python. I just need to run this particular code. What we are doing here, first we are creating the connection and then setting up the cursor. Using cursor.execute command, we are executing our SQL query, and because this query is going to return multiple rows, that's why we should be using fetch all, right? If it return only one row, then we should be executing fetch one, right? Whatever we have studied in Snowflake, that same concept we are applying here. And then if you are printing the cursor.fetch all, here you will be able to see ID 0, ID 1, ID 2 and so on up to ID 9. That same row objects we are getting, whatever we were getting in this UI. Right? I hope you are getting this, that with this way we can execute any ad hoc SQL query. And now for example, I want to run a for loop in this list and then print the rows one by one. That time we can execute this kind of for loop, for row in cursor.fetchAll and then print row. So let's run it. And here if you see, it is not printing anything. And the reason is same like in Snowflake. In Snowflake, once you consume the data from cursor.fetchAll, you cannot reconsume it, because here we have already executed the print cursor fetch all and it has returned the data. Now if you again execute print cursor.fetch all or anything, it will not able to return you the data, because it returns data only once. That's why in this for loop we are not getting any data. So to get that, what we can do, we can basically use cursor.execute to execute our query, and after doing .fetch all, we can store the result set in some variable, and from that variable we can consume the data as many times as we want, right? So here you can see same thing I have done, and here row level objects it is returning. If I execute maybe again here in a new cell, here you will be able to see we are getting the same data, because this time we are not reconsuming from cursor.fetch all. It got consumed here only. Now we are consuming from this result variable, right? That is very vital thing. Okay, I hope up to this you got it. And now here in this query we are getting multiple rows, but suppose we want to get only one single outcome, maybe count star or something like that. Like for example, select 1 plus 1. So this will return only one row in the result set, right? So that time instead of using fetch all, we can take help of fetch one, as simple as that. So here if you see, it is returning 1 plus 1 equal to 2, right? If you want, you can execute the same query in this UI. Here you will be able to see the row name is 1 plus 1 and the outcome is 2. So point to be noted how it is returning. First it is returning the column name and then its corresponding value. Okay, right? Similarly, following that same pattern, if you want, you can consume the data from some table also. For example, here I am having a table or view, select star from IDs gold. If I execute this in the UI, here you will be able to see we are having class name and count. Maybe here I can give class name comma count of 1 as count value, something like this I can write. Okay, so here it is considering count of 1 as count operation, but I want to mention it as a column name. So maybe let's try this way. And here it returned. Okay, so we basically kind of given this kind of tick just to tell Databricks cluster that this is a name, not count operation, right? And we are getting this kind of data. So suppose this table data I want to consume, so I can put that code here, and then here I can print the result set. And here you can see class name Virginica, count value 50, class name Versicolor, count value 51. So in short, it is returning a list where within that particular list we are having row elements where it is having the column name and the value, column name and the value, and so on. Okay, if you want, you can visualize the same data in pandas data frame also. So we can perform import pandas as PD, and then this result set we can convert to dictionary. Each row object we can convert to dictionary, and from that we can create a pandas data frame. And here we can able to see that we are beautifully getting our pandas data frame data, whatever we were getting in this layer, right? So this is how we can consume the data from some table as well without using any Spark SQL. And suppose you want to create some table and insert some data, that kind of operation you want to execute. So let me show you that. So suppose first I am having a table with the name squares, but here you can see the table does not exist. So what we can do, using cursor.execute, we can create the table. But this time we don't want to get the result set, because obviously I hope you are getting this. Create table outcome is not required. Similarly, inserting some data in it, like that 2 records I am inserting. So that also you can do using this Databricks SQL Connector. Okay. So here you can see it is getting executed and it is done. And now if I do select start from this particular table, which earlier was not existing, but if we run it now, here you will be able to see beautifully our data is coming, where first column is the number and the second column contains its square value, right? So this is just for example. I have shown you creation of table and inserting data, and at the end, once your operation is done, you can close the cursor and close the connection. Okay, so in short, this particular module, that is Databricks.SQL.Connector, can help us to perform any SQL operation in Databricks using native Python instead of going via Spark way. Whether you are working within Databricks in some notebook or you are using in some external platform like Google Colab or VS Code or anywhere else, right? And this particular Python module can be very useful in system design purpose also. For example, the user can put the query via some API that can trigger AWS Lambda. Within AWS Lambda, you can put this particular Python package as a Lambda layer, and then using this simple lightweight connectivity, you can execute those code and return the result set via API, right? So for those specific operations, you can use this Databricks SQL Connector and perform lightweight operation instead of going via Spark.SQL, right? So this is all for this video. The documentation link I'll be sharing in the description box. Go through that to understand this particular module in more better way and try to practice parallelly so that you will be having better feeling out of it. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share and comment. Subscribe our channel if you have not subscribed till now, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notification of our latest videos. Thank you for watching.